Hello, Derbyites. I'm Daniel Montgomery here with Gold Derby contributor Jeffrey Kerr, and we are here to talk about the latest episode of Dancing with the Stars. It's Tuesday morning as we're recording this. Movie night on Dancing with the Stars was last night, and it was a double elimination. And the two stars who were eliminated were Nick Viall, who I think many of us at Gold Derby predicted would be eliminated, and Nancy Kerrigan, who not as many of us predicted would be eliminated, although I had kind of a sinking feeling about it for the whole week. First of all, what did you think about that elimination?
Well, I wasn't too sad about Nick being eliminated, but though I did feel bad for Nancy, which kind of led me to wonder if enough votes were counted, if enough people voted for Nancy last week.
Yeah, I really feel like Nancy Kerrigan is one of those contestants. She was just an off week away from leaving the show, just because she had the dance skill a lot of the time, but I wasn't sure that she ever had a lot of fan support. She probably needed those judges' scores to stay in the mix. So last week when when her Paso Doble wasn't perfect, it was a little rough around the edges. She still scored reasonably well for it, but it put her in the middle of the pack, and that was all it took. Nick Viall, of course, was at the bottom of the leaderboard, so that's less surprising, although he has managed to survive this far up until this point. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, the best scorer of the night was Normani Corday, who performed an Argentine tango inspired by foreign films, which I think is odd to have that as a genre, because films from France and Spain and Italy are very different from films you'd get from Thailand and Zimbabwe and Argentina. So as one genre, foreign film is a little odd, but I think for what they did with it, certainly for a dance, I thought it was downright spectacular. What did you think about that dance and those perfect scores?
Oh yeah, I thought that was fierce, and she of course got another 40 out of 40, and luckily was not eliminated, a la Heather Morris last week. And yeah, I thought she was definitely great, and yeah, I definitely liked that dance a lot.
Yeah, and I think I feel almost, because the highest scoring dancer in the first round got immunity from elimination, and 3 extra bonus points added to their score. It's weird because in this case with Normani, because she scored, once Heather is taken out of the mix, she had the highest score coming into tonight's show, so she was not really at risk of elimination anyway. She probably didn't need it. But I'm sure she'll gladly take it. So I almost wish that Nancy Kerrigan had gotten, like, the whole night I was thinking, like, please Nancy, kill it, so she can get elimination, because she was the one who needed it. But alas, I can't fault them for giving that to Normani, because that was certainly the best routine of the night for me. What did you think? What was your least favorite routine of the night?
I guess it probably would have to be, I guess Nick's dance, it just seems a little weird to me. I guess I just didn't really get what he was doing in parts.
Yeah, for me, it was probably Bonner and Bonner Bolton who survived the double elimination, so he's made it into the top 5. Although I think he's pretty much plateaued. I don't think a lot of dancers get better as the season goes along, and he probably has to some degree. But I think we've reached his kind of limit of the extent to which he's going to improve this season. And I think that showed in his Paso Doble. He performed a Paso Doble inspired by Western movies, which is right in his comfort zone, because he's straight from the rodeo, so that's perfect for him. And yet there didn't seem to be even much choreography in it for me. So I was thinking, you're in the top 5 now, and we need more than this. And I'm not sure we're going to be getting more than that from Bonner Bolton at this point. And even after he won his dance-off against Nick Viall at the end of the night, and even with the dance-off, he was still at the bottom of the leaderboard, even though he won that and got bonus points for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he might be the one going home next week. It's hard to say because he has had the fan support to stick around up to this point. But what are your thoughts on next week's elimination, or who, if anyone, will be sent home next Monday night?
Well, my top two right now, I have Bonner in first place with David in second. And I will say, in terms of Bonner's dance, well, I thought his dance was solid for the most part. I mean, I will say, though there were parts that didn't really seem to fit into the Western genre.
Yeah, it is. It is a little odd to fit. A little tricky to fit with the Western genre into an Argentinian dance style. So you have the Latin mixed in with the the Western, that very American movie genre. So that was an odd fit, but probably not as odd a fit as dancing a salsa to sci-fi, which is what David Ross did. Although, given that strange mashup of style and genre, I thought it was pretty solid. Like, I mean, David Ross isn't a great dancer, but I think he is able to have fun, and unlike the way I feel Bonner, he gets choreography and he's able to hit it for the most part. Even if it's not the most graceful, he's able to hit his steps pretty well. And so I'm not upset, certainly, to see him in the top five. What did you think of the sci-fi salsa?
Well, I will say it seemed kind of retro. I mean, it was all futuristic, and I mean, I guess it was a nice change of pace in terms of dance moves we see often.
And then after the first I want before I go into the dance offs, talk about Simone Biles, her performance of the night. I loved that performance. She did a Charleston inspired by silent films, and I feel like that was basically the perfect marriage of contestant and dance style, because she has that high wattage smile and she has that bubbly personality, and that just the high octane Charleston's very fast paced, very fun, very loose. She was able to do some tricks and flips from her gymnastics experience, and I thought she was really, really just terrific in that one. I would have thought she might have gotten like maybe one or two more tens out of that. She got 110 from the judges, and the rest were nines, which were certainly good scores. What did you think about Simone?
Oh, well, I agree. That had to be the dance of the night to me. It was just perfection. And, in fact, now I'm starting to wonder what it would be like if Simone was in a dance-off with Jean Dujardin and Bernice Bejo from The Artist.
Oh, that would be fun. Well, it depends on how much, how long, those two had to prepare for their scenes in The Artist, and certainly, it would be fun to see Simone dance off for the Oscar and just take it from Jean Dujardin and just say like, oh no, that's mine now, thank you.
Yeah, though I did like Bruno's kind of joke saying, I've got the right envelope, and the Oscar for the best dance goes to that bit. I thought that was clever.
Yeah, and that was for Normani and Val. I definitely think those two, Normani and Simone, had for me the best performances of the night. Although I do understand there was guest judge Mandy Moore, who's also a choreographer on this show and La La Land and many other things. She was telling Simone that her one issue is that since she has that gymnastics training, she's trained to have the one expression and hit everything precisely and not be as emotionally expressive. That is getting in the way a little bit of Simone emotionally expressing some of these dance styles. I thought that worked for the Charleston because the gymnast smile and expression works for this dance style. But I do agree that might be holding her back a little bit on some other dance styles that require a little bit more intensity and expression, something that Normani is able to do and Rashad Jennings is able to do that she hasn't quite gotten that expressiveness out yet. What do you think?
Huh. I guess that is a good point.
And speaking of Rashad, he danced a horror movie Paso Doble, so the same style that Bonner Bolton had. I think his went a lot better. By comparison to Bonner, he certainly had the benefit of that comparison. I thought it looked a little clunky to me at first. Might have just been me, But then as it got on, like especially towards the middle and end of the dance, I thought it was just absolutely spot on, and I thought the judges' scores were pretty perfect for that too. He got 3 9s and a 10, just like Simone did. What do you think about his dance?
Well, I thought that seems very creatively figured out. I mean, of course, when you're dealing with the genre of horror and he's supposed to be a zombie, well, I mean, they seem to have done a great job to pull that off. And of course, like you told me last night, it seems to have been very creative and a great use of choreography and dance style.
Now let's get to the dance offs a little bit. There were 3 dance offs after Normani got immunity from elimination. That brought us to the other 6 teams went head to head in a different dance style for those bonus points. And the one thing that surprised me about that was Simone Biles, who had her pick of opponents. She picked Nancy Kerrigan. I thought a lot of times they do it in tiers where, you know, they will pick the celebrity who is the closest to them in terms of competition and scores for the most part. So I thought she was going to go against Rashad, and she picked Nancy, and I thought, oh, poor Nancy. What did you think about that pairing?
Well, it seemed that Simone and Rashad both very deservingly won their respective dance-offs. Well, of course, I believe it was was it Bonner and Nick in the third dance-off?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the only one in which the judges didn't all uniformly pick one. Only 3 of them went Bonner, while 1 went Nick.
Yeah, I thought that was the most evenly matched of the 3 dances. And I even thought Nancy Kerrigan and Simone Biles were fairly evenly matched when I saw them both performing their cha-chas, is what the dance style that they competed against each other with. So I was a little bit surprised that, like, I'm not surprised that Simone won that, but I'm a little bit surprised that it was unanimous. I thought maybe 1 or 2 would go for Nancy. I thought maybe Len Goodman, who has always been a fan of Nancy Kerrigan this season, might go for Nancy. But it was certainly a deserved win for Simone Biles. And but Rashad Jennings did a jibe against David Ross, which was a little bit more decisive for me. I mean, David Ross made a lot of mistakes during his bit, and Rashad seemed fairly perfect. So that didn't surprise me too much. What did you think about that one?
Well, yeah, I guess between David and Rashad, well, Rashad definitely stood out more.
Yeah, and that brings us into the top 5, and so we're only a few weeks away, or 2 or 3 weeks away maybe from the end of the season. We're down to Simone Biles, Normani Corday, Rashad Jennings, David Ross, and Bonner Bolton. Who do you think will be eliminated next week?
I'm sorry?
What was it, Bonner? You said you think would be eliminated earlier?
Well, yeah, he's definitely my first place, though I could see David getting eliminated as well. Although, of course, as we saw with Heather getting eliminated last week, Simone, Rashad, and Normani could potentially surprisingly be eliminated next week.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried for Rashad, just because, and he has, like, compared the top 3 from this week's leaderboard are so far ahead of 4 and 5, which is David Ross in 4th place and Bonner Bolton in 5th. That I don't know that they're going to be able to bridge that gap. So even with a lot of viewer votes, which they've gotten over the past weeks, they had to last week to survive and get Heather Morris eliminated. They must have had a lot of viewer support. But they're so far behind. I think it's bound to be one of them, and I have a feeling that David Ross is going to have more fan support. So I'm predicting Bonner will finally go home next week, which will bring David Ross actually into the finals, which I think will surprise no one more than him.
Well, yeah. In fact, I don't know if you were watching Kelly and Ryan this morning, but as I was, where Nancy performed, I even heard them talk about, maybe that, there were some people that voted that America really didn't want to see eliminated, so they didn't even vote for the stronger candidates.
Yeah. So who are you rooting for to win the season? Forget not necessarily who you're predicting, but who out of these contestants left in the competition, who do you want to see win?
Well, Well, I'm not only predicting her, but I am rooting for Simone. I think she's really been outstanding all season long. I haven't seen her stumble once. I'd be very thrilled to see her win.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to see her win too. I can't decide who I want to see win. I think it's for me. It's definitely between Simone and Normani. If either of them wins, I'm absolutely thrilled.
Mm-hmm.
But I recently switched my prediction to Normani. I had been predicting Simone for the entire season, but Simone got the high score of the night in week one, and she hasn't been on top of the leaderboard since.
Mm.
While Normani has had the top score 4 times now, which doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to win, because of course you also need those viewer votes, and Simone is going to have a lot of support there. But it feels like she's on her way. I mean, she feels like the one to beat to me because she's been so dominant in terms of her dance performance, and I think she's going to have that popularity because Fifth Harmony, her group, is so popular. So I'm betting on her now, but I might switch back to Simone at some point. But I'd be very surprised at this point if it's anyone but those two.
I agree, though, and you definitely made a good case for Normani. I mean, I could definitely at least see Normani and Simone being the final two.
I agree, and thank you very much for watching, and thank you, Jeffrey, for joining me today. I think we'll wrap it up there, and we're looking forward to next week's Dancing with the Stars when it's
Mm-hmm.
top five. They will, since it's only 5 contestants, we will likely see them both dance 2 full routines. So that will be interesting to see how if Bonner manages to have any choreography in those actual routines, and what will happen with that. So thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.